The strategies discussed today involve large-scale movements and, in their cases, serious capital. This is not investment advice. I am not a financial advisor. Always do your own homework, run your own numbers, and make logical choices with your own hard-earned money. Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by. Bronze Dragon here, and today we have an absolute milestone episode for the channel. If you've been playing Atlas Earth, or even if you're just looking into the play-to-earn gaming space, today's guest needs absolutely no introduction. So I'm going to turn around and introduce him. He's a titan of the grid, a legend on the leaderboard, a former president of the United States in-game, and currently holds the number 3 spot nationwide with one of the most massive virtual estate portfolios on Earth, Atlas Earth. Please welcome to the den, the one, the only, Count Maximus.
Well, greetings, fellow Earthlings. It's a real honor to be invited on to talk with you guys. It's very flattering. I'm happy to be here, hoping to share some good experiences, answer any questions you have, and thanks for having me, Bronze.
Well, thanks for joining me, taking the time. We are all, I think everybody, and most everybody in the game is interested to hear the viewpoint of people that are at the top of the ladder. So that's why I started these interviews on the channel. So it's a privilege to have you here. Thank you. You've been a dominant fixture in Atlas Earth for a very long time. For the folks watching who see your name sitting comfortably near the top of the leaderboard every single day, let's pull back the curtain a bit and let's get right into it and get started. First of all, I want to ask you before we get started, because I know everybody's going to ask me about it. You sent me over a picture of Fudge to use as your to represent you in this interview. So tell me about that, because everybody's going to want to know.
Well, there came a point I had just changed phones, and there came a point where I needed to change my profile picture online, and I didn't have the pictures available that I had used in the past. And I was on travel. I was going through Tennessee, and I always stop at the Buc-ee's at least once going through Tennessee. And I needed to change. I needed to change my profile picture. I have one picture on my phone, and it's the Fudge I bought from Buc-ee's. And I just said, okay, this is the one I have available. I have had so much trouble changing my profile picture, especially on my old phone. You would try and it would just fail. Try, fail, try, fail. So I'm not messing around with it. Let me just put this picture on there. And so it's been there for months. And at some point, even the King of Queens, he's like, I think it's time to change that profile picture. I said, King, you got something against Fudge? What?
Yeah, no, that's funny. I agree with you. I knew people would start asking about it, though. And King is infamous for changing his pictures sometimes on a daily basis. So he gets really into that. Okay, with that out of the way, take us back to the beginning. How did you first discover Atlas Earth? Was it an ad, a recommendation, or were you already looking for this type of play-to-earn app?
Well, for many years, I had been looking for some sort of supplemental income, and it seemed like, in this modern era, I could do something on my phone. I've tried multiple different apps that started out good. A lot of them were surveys or watching ads for a monetary reward, even playing games for a monetary reward. And I used them, but they all tended to kind of wane. The rewards weren't as good over time. They wouldn't what they call nerf, the rewards. And I had just quit playing one that was completely dead, and I had seen ads for like 6 months prior,
Okay.
and I thought, well, you got to admit those ads at the beginning, like I'm going to buy my neighbor's shed, really?
Yeah.
Okay, they're a little cheesy,
Yeah.
but it still piqued my interest. I'm like, I'll give them a fair shot.
Okay.
So I did, and there is something just very enticing and different about like surveys, the ads. I've done that before, but to actually get to reinvest that into the app and that little counter at the top, it just invites you to make it spin faster.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with
Never
that.
goes fast enough.
I agree with that. Okay, so let's continue down this road. When you first started buying parcels, did you immediately see the massive scaling potential, or did it just start as a casual hobby that snowballed over time?
It was definitely casual. I had entered the game thinking I would proceed like I always did and just, make a couple of dollars here and a couple of dollars there.
Hmm.
And it's when I started doing, I wasn't aware of Discord. I had never used Discord before, but I would do searches and try to find out, okay, what's this Atlas Earth thing all about? What's a mayorship? What are the passport and the badges all about?
Okay, let me
And so
stop you
I
there.
placed.
When
Go ahead.
what
Okay.
what time frame were we talking about when you got into the game?
That was February 2024.
Okay.
And so, I'm not quite as long into the game as say Mr. Everything in Georgia is. He started back when they didn't even stop you. You could just watch ads constantly.
Yeah, yeah.
They had already broken it up into three per hour.
Hmm.
And so, the first several dozen parcels I bought were in a location that wasn't even a mayorship. I had no clue.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but as I did the searches and I looked up, okay, well, badges, that's an interesting thing. How's that work? Oh, there's mayorships. Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not obvious. If you're in a spot where there's no mayorship, you don't even know it exists.
Yeah,
Um, you see the governor, you see the president, but
yeah.
so I started to get involved. I decided eventually to throw a little money into it and take a couple of townships, a little town near me and a smaller, slightly bigger town down the road.
Okay.
Um, so that it started small.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. One of the reasons I started covering Atlas Earth when I started, which is a little bit over 2 years now, same time frame. I think I started a couple months after you. Was that there was really no information out about that. After looking on Reddit and looking on Discord a little while, I heard about Tasty Wallet's guide, and I read through that, and that got me started. I'm like, yeah, this should be put out so people actually know how to play the game. So that's actually
Yeah,
what got me putting out information on my channel.
nice.
So you started buying up your local townships, cities, and things of that. When did it occur to you that, hey, maybe I should look at it a little bit bigger and start looking at the state?
Well, the state probably came 3 months later. I mean, I had expanded in Virginia. I took a county or two, and it's very infectious when you
Hmm.
start. I started with a small town; it wasn't very productive. I got a bigger town; it was productive a little bit, and then a county, and then, oh my God, the county was nice. It was on 95,
Okay.
Interstate 95. I mean,
Yeah.
major uh, route for national travel for
Hmm.
vacations and
Hmm.
also for commuters. So uh, it
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
really have turned out better for me.
Yeah, I'll just stop there for a minute. That's something that also uh, um, King of Queens and also Shaman 15 pointed out was their strategy as far as looking for major places where people are traveling, whether that be a highway, a
Yeah.
county that a highway goes through, or an airport, etc.
Hmm. That kind of information wasn't out back then.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, nobody was talking about that kind of strategy in 2024 at the beginning of
Hmm.
the year.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
like, okay, well, how much how much badge income should a city make? I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't get that answer until I finally took one.
Yeah,
Nobody wanted to share that.
yeah.
It's understandable. It's a strategy. You don't tell all your competitors
This is
that
true.
your city's great.
This is true, especially when you're up at the top of the leaderboard duking it out.
Yeah. So that I got up to about 3,300 parcels in Virginia.
Hmm.
Nobody in the game really knew who I was still because Survivalist Quinn had over 10,000 parcels in Virginia. I had no thought of taking Virginia.
Hmm.
That wasn't even in the realm of possibility. But I did see the value of governorships and the presidency just because when somebody's buying a badge, no matter where they are in the state. that state badge is right there for them to grab. They don't have
Mhm.
to come to me.
Mhm.
And this, even more so with the U.S. presidency or any
Mm.
presidency now internationally. Um, so you kind of there's a trade off. If you have 10 mayorships, that's 10 opportunities for somebody to buy a badge from you, but they
Mhm.
have to be there.
Yep.
So I did decide I wanted a governorship around that time, a couple of months in. Um, so I started looking around. There was oh, yeah, keep in mind there was no leaderboard.
Mhm.
There was if you're in a mayorship and you're looking at it, you see maybe who the mayor is and how many parcels behind you are. You
Mhm.
don't even know how many they have. You don't know if there's 5 guys behind them with 1 parcel behind them. You have no idea.
Yeah, the
Or you
actual leaderboard in game actually makes that a lot easier these days.
oh, night and day.
Mhm.
And so that's all the information I had to go on. Um, and I think well there was a way for me to find out what the governors in the various states had. I'm trying to think how I found that out. I think maybe you had to be in the state
Mhm.
or somebody had to tell you. And again, I
Yeah.
wasn't in Discord yet, so I didn't have anybody to ask. But I did find out that in Pennsylvania, the governor there had about 3,200 parcels. Now that's a third of the parcels in from my home state, and the population in Pennsylvania is many millions more.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's bigger geographically. I'm like, that sounds ideal, and it's
Okay.
cheap.
Mhm.
So I loaded up about 8 of those $2,000 packs, which was the biggest pack you could buy at the time. And I made a plan. I had to do research because again, there's no map. So I pulled up county maps that showed. I had to pull up a county map, and then I had to pull up a township map and lay them side by side to figure out where the townships were in the counties
Mhm.
and what route I would need to take on a road to go through a bunch of them.
Okay.
And that took days. It
Yeah.
took literally hours and hours and hours.
Basically planning a really in-depth road trip.
Yes, yes, and it was over a 2-day period because I had to place 3,600 parcels over a 100-mile wide area that I was
Mhm.
planning to take. So I ended up taking Pennsylvania, and actually that was actually the most productive state I've ever owned. And well, at that point, I knew I had to decide a strategy.
Mhm.
Do I want to focus on just a few locations, which is kind of taking a chance because you have no clue. You don't even know what a good location looks like
Mhm.
at this point. Um, you don't know what badge income is. You don't know really. You have a hard time even knowing how big the area is, how much the population is, unless you do the research.
Yeah.
So I could either spread my net very wide and try to take a whole lot of locations, or I could focus on maybe just a couple of cities.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, it has counties, but the counties really aren't available as mayorships for
Mhm.
the most part. There's a couple you can get, but they're mostly chopped up into townships.
Yep, there's a lot of
And
townships around
so,
here.
yep. So so I went up uh, Interstate 70 and I got on US Route 30 and then went up another interstate and ended up on 22, which goes east and west across the state.
Mhm.
And those are pretty good, pretty big roads. Seemed like a good idea. And there were mayorships in those townships. Some of them had 10 parcels in them, and
Mhm.
some had 5. I ran into a wide variety, but I probably picked up 40 or 50 mayorships on that trip
Okay.
with just 3,600 parcels. I mean, you can't even begin to do that now, obviously.
Mhm.
But even back then, it was somewhat unheard of. There was a lot of small ones, and that allowed me to get a lot of data about how productive they are.
Okay,
And
I'll just stop you there for a minute. Just kind of give us an idea on that trip. What did you spend, if you don't mind saying?
okay, well, that would be probably about 16,000 plus whatever costs of actually driving there. And
Mhm.
I stayed with family, so the hotel wasn't an issue. But
Okay.
food, you know, I became a great consumer of Sheets.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, what Sheets had to offer.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a great those 24-hour gas stations are a great place to park your car, and nobody's going to ask you any questions if you're there for an hour. It's
Yeah, that's true.
um,
Kind of like Wawa on this side of the state. So,
absolutely.
okay, so you got that trip done, and what did you accomplish? You took over governorship of Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
and then you went
And
home,
yeah.
and where did you go
Yep.
from there?
Well, I got that gave me once, fast forward a few weeks, I'm getting, let's say, 250 to 300 Atlas bucks a day just
from
from the state.
from the badge income, yeah.
Yeah, and also, the occasional, because these townships were small, they were not
Hmm.
super productive, but I was getting badges from, I now have 40, 50 mayorships. That's a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So altogether, they do make up some. So I'm getting this badge income, and that's just fuel in the fire.
Yeah.
Like, more of this, please.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and so I had some money invested, and it was doing okay, but I was kind of tired of the stock market, honestly. I had invested in some companies that just completely went belly up, and it wasn't a lot of
Hmm.
money, but anytime you see 1,000 or more just disappear in thin air, that doesn't feel good. So
Hmm.
I was ready for a new something new to put it in, and I have taken risks before, so this just felt like a little bit different kind of risk.
Yeah.
Um, and I do enough about the game to think, this probably has a future. It should be stable for a while, so I'm willing to try it. So it was around that time that Manning introduced the very large packs,
Yeah, I remember that.
and I volunteered to go first, and I bought a 50K pack,
Hmm.
and I was working out the details of that as I was traveling to Texas. I had a brother-in-law that passed away, and so I drove out there. I got to go, through all those southern states and see, because I was there, I could see exactly what was in each state, what the competition, what the well, not really competition. That's right, because they didn't have leaderboards yet, but
Hmm.
I could see what was in the state and in the mayorships that I passed through. And I mean, Texas was less than 10,000. I think it was like 8,200 or something at the time, which
Yeah.
was a steal. And I actually had the money. I could have stayed there and gone after it. Uh, but I decided to come on back home, and I took North Carolina. North Carolina had less than 5,000 in it at the time.
Okay.
And so in 2 days, I put 6,000 in North Carolina. That was a lot more in 2 days than the 3,600 I put in Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and it was just about enough to make me sick.
Yeah. Well, let me
I
stop you
felt
there for a minute.
bad.
You said
Uh-huh.
I can remember distinctly when Manning had those big packs put up because I made a video just about it because I was amazed that they had $50 and $100,000 packs on there. Um,
Yeah.
as an average player, I think 50,000 and $100,000. That's just like a huge amount for me. That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
like buying a car, putting a down payment
Oh,
on a
yeah.
house or something like this. So
Yeah.
are you? I don't want to be blunt, but are you well off, or did you have to put this on a charge card or what?
No, actually, I'm a pretty average income type person. I'm not even upper middle class,
Okay.
honestly. That money that I had was the result of a substantial severance package I got
Okay.
from 23 years of work at a company that closed their shop,
Okay.
and it represented a good part of a year's worth of pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I did, because I'm very conservative about what I spend money on, and
Yeah.
and so I live beneath my means. I grew that money, and the stock market helped grow a little,
Mm-hmm.
but I did have a over 50,000 to put into something, and that's
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Okay. I wanted to
Um,
point that out because a lot of people that I talk to on my live stream and everything, they automatically think, "Oh, you guys are just rich guys throwing money at it." So I
no,
kind of wanted to, put that in there. So, okay, go ahead and continue.
no, this was definitely a massive risk. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, but it was money that, I mean, I already own a house that I'm making payments on, so
Hmm.
it was money that I could use to invest in
Okay.
something. So that's what I did. And so I took North Carolina, Charlotte, Durham. There's a few other places that I hit there, and I think uh, they were a bit shocked.
Hmm.
But that also turned out to be, a pretty decent acquisition.
Hmm.
In North Carolina's pretty good. It's got a higher population than Virginia also, so it was priced very low also. So it was a good buy essentially. And buying spending 50,000, that's almost 15,000 parcels worth. So I
Yeah.
placed 6 there. I still had 9.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind I had over 3,000 in Virginia, it just made sense for me to go after Virginia next.
And it takes a lot of
And
time to put that many parcels down. Can you give us
oh my.
some kind of picture of what kind of time we're talking about to put down the parcels when you did put those large amounts down?
Mm. Well, I once spent a day doing nothing but placing parcels in Philadelphia, and yeah, you learn really fast where the bathrooms are. Uh,
Okay.
and in an urban setting, a lot of people lock their doors to their
Hmm.
bathrooms,
Hmm.
so it's problematic. And so basically, if you can imagine, some people have placed 100 parcels, and you sit in a
Hmm.
car for 20, 30 minutes, and you place your parcels, and you're done. Well, imagine sitting in your car for 3 or 4 solid hours,
Yeah.
uh, placing parcels, and you may be listening to the radio or something, but it's pretty darn boring.
Hmm.
There's a little bit of a rush of, hey, I'm making headway, I'm getting close, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it can also conversely be very, very painful experience. And then you take a break, you find some place to eat, do what's necessary, and then
Hmm.
you find a different location to park in. And you know, at, your screen holds about 300 to 350 blocks,
Hmm.
and then you have to move. So that's that's about every hour, and
Okay.
every hour or less, you have to relocate. And in an urban setting, maybe that's not too difficult. Lots of parking lots. But if you're in a rural setting, the only place to pull over may be somebody's driveway. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I learned during the race for the presidency that sometimes you have to buy while you're moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely. Okay. So
if you can
keep
avoid that, I recommend avoiding it.
definitely you have to. I've always made it a point when I'm purchasing parcels to not ever go on other private property. Most of my
Yeah.
parcels are in what would be considered public property, so I didn't want to get in
Mhm.
trouble with anything. Okay, so we're rolling. You've
Absolutely.
taken over a few states. What happened then?
Mhm. Well, right after I bought the 50,000, I took North Carolina and I took Virginia. Suddenly, there was a competitor named Shaman that poked his
Hmm.
head up in Pennsylvania, and a lot of us were trying to figure out who this dude is and where he's coming from, because apparently he had some parcels in Illinois. We did try to look and see, and suddenly he was in Pennsylvania. He took Pennsylvania from me, and then he was suddenly back in Illinois again,
Hmm.
and placing out there. And like, okay, well, maybe he was just like I was thinking, well, maybe he was just like bringing his kid to college or something, and then he
Yeah.
headed back home. Maybe he lives
Yeah.
in Illinois. Maybe it's not a big deal. And so I ran up there and I did another 2-day trip, and took it back. Took the same route. And um, he returned to Pennsylvania because that's actually where his home base is. So
Okay. Yeah.
it was, we fought back and forth for a while in Pennsylvania. Eventually, me getting to 14,000 before it was clear to me I needed to move elsewhere. And
Hmm.
sometime during that battle, I decided to go after West Virginia. It made a lot of sense. There was 2,200 in it,
Okay.
and it's close. I knew it wouldn't be a huge badge earner, but it's close.
Hmm.
So I went after West Virginia, and I had it. I took it. I had it for a day and a half, and then Shaman went on one of his famous late morning runs, and you could watch him as he progressed down through Pennsylvania and then into Maryland, and then down into West Virginia. And he would, he took put massive amounts wherever he went, when he stopped. And uh, so he and I battled back and forth. He would take it in the early afternoon, and I'd get off work and I would drive all the way to West Virginia. It's an hour and a half each way, and I would place all evening. I would usually take it back before badges paid out, and then go back home, and then in the morning he would take it again. And that went on for about 3 or 4 days, and eventually, I just I had to stop. I couldn't
Yeah.
keep it up, and I I, I couldn't compete with that.
Hmm.
Uh, and so, I worked on securing Virginia and North Carolina, but I was really missing Pennsylvania. I didn't have a chance to miss West Virginia yet, but uh, so I decided, well, let me go after Maryland. Maybe I can pump up Western Maryland so much that he'll go, oh, he's got Maryland. I'm just going to leave it alone. And that didn't turn out to be a good strategy either.
Okay.
so he came in, and that's where two two players with large resources fighting against one another.
Hmm.
It's not good. It's not good. Western Maryland is a disaster area. There's 3 counties there. The best one, the one that I finally managed to keep, has 3,600 parcels in it,
Hmm.
and it's not as good as it's not as good as a big city,
Yeah,
and it's got
definitely.
as much as some big cities have. It's overpriced for sure. The 2 counties that he kept, especially furthest west one, I had it for 2 weeks. I never got a badge out of it.
Hmm.
So in my head, I'm thinking it's bad. It could have just been a really slow 2 weeks, but that's one of his top counties as far as total parcels in one county, is because all the roads he took into Maryland and West Virginia passed through that county, and he was buying as he drove. So naturally, he just placed something in there every time he went through. It
Hmm.
accumulated to quite a lot. And we've talked a little bit. King of Queens and him and I have all talked about that. And he I'm sure he wishes he had done it a little differently, but nobody is ever going to take Garrett County from him. I just can't see it.
Okay, so tell me the behind the scenes scoop on when you were w- kind of battling with stealth.
Um, well, um, after I had taken Pennsylvania and North Carolina, I'd been made aware of a group of guys that wanted to slow Stealth down at least,
Hmm.
if not stop him somehow. It's really hard because it's not really a team game.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so it's like, what can we do? And we thought, I actually joined the group, and we were thinking, well, maybe we each battle him in different areas, and if you kind of give him a lot of different fronts to fight on, he's not going to be able to expand as quickly.
Hmm.
And I guess it never really came to fruition exactly like that, but a little as I was fighting Shaman and as I was getting closer to Stealth, I just decided to go all in,
Okay.
and I actually I got one of the 100K packs,
Hmm.
and the only way I could fund that was to take the rollover uh, IRA account that I had and cash that out early.
Hmm.
Also, something I don't recommend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a price to pay for that, but um, it got me to where I am now. That part I wouldn't take it back. I might have done it differently if I had it to do over again, but I don't want to take it back. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I managed to get that money together, and suddenly fighting Stealth for the presidency became an option. And I let the guys in the group know, hey, I have just enough to make this happen. Let's do it. And so a couple of the other guys, they're like, okay, well, hey, let's fight for Wisconsin. Let's fight for this. Let's fight. And it as it turned out, Stealth really wasn't interested in investing more money. So
Okay.
it was anticlimactic, you could say.
Yeah.
It
This
was a
is
brief it
interest.
was a brief battle.
This
Yeah,
is interesting because most of us from the bottom side don't really even see that part of the game. Would never know something like that was going on.
right. So that's where it was around that time that I started talking to guys like the King Queens and Mr.
Hmm.
Everything and Arn and Shane Kelly and a guy named Land Emperor. He's in Wisconsin. We were all talking together just about our experiences and stuff and
Hmm.
strategies, and it's a really good group of guys. We, on this road, we didn't. I mean, King of Queens and I, we just kind of moved in different arenas. We never, he might have thought he was thinking about maybe taking Pennsylvania, but once he saw me fighting for it, he was okay with not messing with that,
Hmm.
And I knew New Jersey was pretty close to him. It's like it doesn't make any sense for me to go after New Jersey. Let him deal with that.
Yeah.
So we avoided fighting each other for the most part. And even Shaman would say it's too bad that he wasn't on Discord communicating with us back then. We could have avoided some of that battle we had
Yeah.
if we had
Yeah.
if we had had a chance to talk.
Yeah.
Um,
So, lead me up to you actually. When did you take over for president, and how long did that last?
um, well, I think it was either October or November of 2024. So I had been in the
Okay.
game for 8 to 9 months,
Hmm.
um, and it lasted a very short time. We're talking 13 to 14 days. I got
Wow.
14.
I
I
didn't
think
know
I
it
got
was that
14
short.
payouts. It
I
was,
didn't.
and the reason why is because Shaman also bought $100,000 packs,
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
than one. I'm pretty sure it was more
Yeah.
than one,
Yeah.
and so he had the resources to. He followed me up the leaderboard, and the King of Queens did to some extent too. I mean, we were all moving up the leaderboard together, but
Hmm.
Shaman was hot on my heels the whole time, and somehow he was magically able to. It seemed like every day it's just like, oh, I think I'm going to go buy parcels for 8 hours today. And I'm like, how are you doing this, dude? What
Yeah.
are you retired? Are you, well, what? It was hard to fathom, and
Yeah.
so to fight that, I had to go out after work just about every day, and on the weekends I doubled down. I was spending whole weekends doing that.
Yeah.
I'd go to church on Sunday, and then the rest of my Sunday would be dropping parcels somewhere. And he followed me right up the leaderboard. I passed stealth, and he was maybe a day or two behind. And so every day of those 14 days that I had it, it was a question of, he's 3,000 behind me today. Is he going to make up ground, or am I going to keep him
Yeah.
at bay?
Yeah, I remember that
So,
time period because both myself and Pharaoh Silver were doing a lot of like live streams and commentary, watching all of this jockeying back and forth.
yeah, I think that last trip to Philadelphia, I actually had opened up like a 4 or 5 thousand parcel lead, and then it's like we took like a 3 day break. It was like the calm before the storm
Hmm.
because I think we were both very very tired of placing parcels.
Yeah, I can see it. Well, right at this
Uh,
point, this occurred to me. Did you ever have to replace a phone because you burn it up placing parcels?
Um, that is a real thing, my friend. That is it didn't happen during the race for the presidency
Hmm.
during the whale wars. But I go through a phone every year at most.
Wow.
I think I've been playing the game for 2.5 years. I think I'm on my fourth phone right now.
Wow.
Now, don't let me leave you with the wrong impression. I've
Hmm.
dropped a couple,
Oh, okay.
but I probably wouldn't have dropped them as much if I wasn't always on my phone.
Yeah, out placing parcels.
Yes.
Okay. So you took it over. Then who took it from you?
Well, Shaman.
Shaman.
Shaman took it over,
Okay.
and again we had been going back and forth. I spent $30,000 more than I intended to.
Okay.
So I had the money, but anybody that knows about taking money out of an IRA account, there's a penalty to pay and
Hmm.
there's taxes to pay,
Hmm.
and so that money was intended for taxes,
Yeah.
and so I had to find a way to replace that later. But I spent 30,000 more to try to keep him at bay because I'm always thinking he's about to run out. He's about to run out.
Yeah.
He didn't run out.
So
So
at a certain point, you decided that's enough.
yep. Matter of fact, I was in Maryland, defending Maryland, trying to take it back from him and Washington County, and I actually messaged Pharaoh Silver because we had had some communications before when I took
Hmm.
over stealth, and I said, dude, you might want to broadcast tonight because I have to stop, and he's not going to. and so he was online when we stopped,
Hmm.
when I stopped, and Shaman finally took it over. So uh, yeah, I couldn't keep going. That would have been fiscally irresponsible
Yeah.
to go any further. I wouldn't have been able to easily recover from that.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Thank you for leading us through, your play era and lead up to the
Mhm.
presidentship and where you are today. Let's go ahead and jump topics a little bit. You've witnessed the game evolve to what it is today. Looking back, what are some of the biggest differences between the early Atlas Earth ecosystem and the modern meta we play today?
Mhm. Well, the I think probably the biggest change that happened since I started, the thing that affected us the most was the advent of maps on the
Hmm.
website. It creates a whole new level of strategy and information gathering that just wasn't possible before.
Definitely.
Um, you can monitor remotely your holdings. You know, the stuff I had in Pennsylvania, I couldn't look at it and see if somebody was creeping up on me. No
Hmm.
clue. You don't know till it happens,
Yep.
but now you can. Um, I think just the next best thing is as a whole, just the wider variety of options for earning Atlas bucks is
Hmm.
very, very helpful. We had a few things when I started, but additional mini games, especially the more opportunities for mini games like the Super Saturday, is
Hmm.
something I'm very much in favor of. I like the 1 hour format. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, I also like the fact that they reduced our 3 hour Sunday event to a 2 hour. That's much more manageable. But I've availed myself of the arcade quite a bit, because that gives me some variety. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not just
Yeah.
always playing the same half a dozen mini games. And some of the games I really like, so that's a bonus. And even I've even used the travel somewhat. You find yourself in Philadelphia at 10 o'clock at night. You're gonna be in a hotel somewhere. Let's at least earn a little Atlas bucks out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of us are like that. That's why we're using this platform.
Hmm.
So,
I have high hopes for I have high hopes for Tesoro,
yeah,
but it needs to expand. I hear a lot of people
definitely.
on Discord saying, "Gosh, there's nothing close to me,"
Yeah,
and that's my experience as well.
yeah, yeah. I've been using it. Like I said, I started playing a few months after you, and I was lucky enough to have a couple places around me that were offering the 4-to-1. One lunch place
Mhm.
and one dinner place, Salad Works. So I got
Nice.
very tired of eating yogurt and salads, but I made a lot of Atlas bucks doing it. But my overall point is with the spin-off of Tesoro from Atlas Earth, I was hoping for a big a big relaunch and a bunch of new stores on it and everything like that. And
Mhm.
we didn't really get that. I'm still hoping for the future. I'm still looking for it to go live in a country other than the United States as well. So,
Yeah, I do feel for our international players. I
hmm.
really do, because they're at such a disadvantage, and it's not Atlas Earth's fault. I mean, they're doing what they can to make it available, but you know, can you imagine watching an ad and not getting two Atlas bucks for it? That that's tough. I mean, it's
Yeah,
something, at least one
yeah,
is something, but uh, because we are on some level competing with them, especially if we travel internationally, I could see where they're not entirely happy with the situation, and I
yeah,
hope it does change so that they're on a more level playing field with us.
yeah. I agree. Okay, so let's keep rolling. Let's talk some numbers here, because that's what everyone is dying to know about. Whenever we talk about it on a live stream, those are the first questions that come up. To secure the number 3 spot on the United States leaderboard and overall in the game, you have to hold an astronomical number of parcels. Are you comfortable sharing roughly how much capital overall? We've talked in loose terms about buying packages, but how much you've invested out of pocket, and then kind of back that up with how much you're seeing on a monthly basis. You can be as specific or as general as you want to
Okay.
talk about. So,
Well, it's a little over $250,000, and it wasn't all at once. I talked about the 50K pack and the 100K pack. Those were all at once. But um, little dribs and drabs. Everybody, no, not everybody. There's a lot of people that go ahead and buy the Explorers Club. They pay for the challenge subscription, and those do add up. Be, because of the income I'm getting from the game now, it's easy for me to just go, oh, I'll just go ahead and pay for the whole year because
Hmm.
it's most cost effective if you do it that way. It's like if I'm
Hmm.
going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and do it the most cost effective way, and that works out. Again, that's why part of the reason why I wouldn't take it back if I could.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
I'm gonna make it work the way it is, and it's doing all right. So yeah, a little over 250,000. My everybody can see what my rent accrual is. It's a little over 58,000 right now, and I'd say somewhere a little over 50% of that's been reinvested back in.
Okay.
Um, usually at the 33 to 1
Hmm.
at the end of the month. I had a couple of big 40 to 1 conversions at the end of each year, but it's mostly the monthly.
Okay. And as far as rent goes. Now, what do you usually see on like a monthly basis, round terms, as far as Atlas bucks that you're still getting in badge income?
Well, let me just talk in general terms of the total that I expect to place every
Okay.
month. And
Okay.
so I'm
Okay.
without putting any more money in the game. Now, I'll this includes watching the ads, arcade games, challenges, everything. I try to peg that number around 1,000 parcels a month.
Okay.
And I've talked about this with other people before. That's it could be high, it could be a little low, but that's a good safe number. And it allows me to take money out of the game too. I mean, I could convert everything and make that pump that number up, but
Yeah.
that at some point, I like I said, I'm not even upper middle class. I need some of this money back.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to break even. I mean, I would love to make a profit, and
Yeah.
I can do that easily if the game continues to
Yeah.
to grow and satisfy its customers and everything. It'll be around for a good long time.
Hmm. Now, have you mapped it out and you know what your break even point date is?
Uh, no, I didn't put energy into that
Okay.
that exact calculation. I always knew it was about 8 to 9 years, depending
Okay.
on how many governorships, mayorships I managed to keep,
Hmm. Hmm.
and just how successful I was at executing the game.
Yeah.
And so it's been year and a half since I get well, I can't even say since I last put money in because I just put money in May, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to this is kind of a very delicate subject. We had a change occur a few months ago. This is kind of a question, a double sided question here. How crucial are the 50 times multiplier SRB events, the two events per month, to someone at the top of the leaderboard like yourself, as far as scale goes? And also talk about the recent implementation of the 150,000 parcel cap on SRB. And what are your thoughts on that matter?
well, I think as far as SRB goes, I'll talk about it. I think it pretty much scales from the for anyone in the 2x tier. It kind of works the same for everybody. Each SRB is about 30 to 33% of your income. It's a
Hmm.
rough number, but you could pretty much just put a tack in that and say that's about roughly what it is. And so if you have 2,000 parcels, SRBs during the month is 67% of your income.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to see that go away. That's
Yeah.
important. So it's important to you at 2,000. It's important to the guy at 25,000. It's important to me at 103,000. So I mean, they when they worked out the numbers, the tiers and multipliers and the bonus stuff, boosting and stuff, that scaling works well. Um, apparently, they're I don't know. There was a reason that they decided to put a 150K cap in place. That that alludes to the idea that maybe the math isn't as good for them over 100,000 or over 150,000, and
Okay.
so hey, we need to adjust something so that the company can stay viable because everybody that has put money into this game and everybody that is even free to play, everybody wants us to keep going
Definitely.
because I mean, mayorships are going to fill up eventually. It's going to get harder and harder to place. So, you know, titles, way down the road, titles are going to be hard to acquire, but you can still earn income. So, as long as you can still earn income, we want it to stick around.
Hmm.
And so that's why implementing that 150,000 level, that cap on the SRB, I kind of have split feelings about that
Yeah.
because you know I I feel for King of Queens because he was so close to it,
Hmm.
and you know I understood, just like me, just like Shaman, just like probably Stealth too. We all had a long range strategy. When you throw that kind of money at it, you're thinking, okay, down the road, where am I going to be in a year, 5
Hmm.
years? If it
Hmm.
lasts 10 years, where am I going to be in 10 years? And so for King of Queens, I mean, he's already there. 145,000 in a year. He's thinking, well, if I keep the presidency, I'm going to be at 160,
Yeah.
170. I don't know.
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years, he could be before this game ends. He could be half a million parcels theoretically.
Hmm.
So to put a cap at 150,000 had to feel very egregious for him. Like you just stabbed me in the heart
Hmm.
as far as my strategy goes.
Hmm.
It had to feel like you're moving the goalposts on me, and I empathize with him for that because if I had any thought about continuing to invest in the game, I was at maybe 90, 95,000 at the time.
Hmm.
I'm like, you know, it's still a ways away from me, but suddenly there's a ceiling. Like the math doesn't make any sense after that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
put more money into it.
Yeah.
And so I feel for him and I support him. But I think maybe he's come to terms with that. Um, it kind of is what it is. We None of us like the idea of rules changing.
Hmm.
Um, I was thinking about it in terms of like, say, a new law gets passed in the government. A lot of times, if you're in a situation where the law is going to make something you're doing wrong, they may grandfather what you're doing in,
Hmm.
for your
Hmm.
instance,
Yeah.
and that feels fair. And we're not getting that feeling in this situation. Although,
Yeah.
in defense of the company, it wasn't affecting him yet. It's just
Hmm.
that it was certain to affect him.
Hmm.
That's where the sticking
Yeah.
point. So,
Okay, let's pivot to the political quote unquote layer of the game. You're a former president for a brief time,
mhm.
um, which is an incredible feat given the numbers of parcels we're talking about and all the traveling you were doing. What did it take logistically and strategically to hold the presidency, and what made you decide to transition your focus to the current territorial footprint?
um, well, for me to compete at that level, it took the kind of mindset where, well, I had an unfair advantage over a lot of people. I'm not married. My kids are all grown. I
Hmm.
live by myself. I don't have any pets. Um, I don't have anybody that is going to be in trouble or have a problem if I'm gone for a few days.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there's certain freedom in that. Um, Turns out I had a car with fairly low mileage on it, and it gets really good gas mileage.
Hmm.
So this is all a very good setup for me to execute this kind of a run for the presidency. And so as long as I'm good with um, extending my day beyond my work day to go to West Virginia until 12:30 at night, you really got to question your life choices when you're driving in the fog and the rain
Yeah.
on a mountain road in West Virginia,
Yeah.
and there's no bathrooms anywhere, and you have to decide, should I stop on the side of the road and will the local family of bears find me appetizing?
Yeah, I have to stop you right there because when I was in my early 20s and driving home from when I was in the Navy, so I was stationed out in Norfolk, and I was driving home to Indianapolis, and I went through West Virginia. It was in the winter, and I had a little four-cylinder car, and I was driving up these West Virginia mountains that had snow on them. And by the time I got done with that trip, I swore I would never drive through West Virginia again.
Well, it's beautiful country, and even with the rain that night, uh, the um, even before it got dark, you could see it just the sky was nice, and even though there was mist and stuff, it just the whole scene was beautiful.
Hmm.
But it was, I was working, so
Yeah.
and in those days, I'm getting up at 7 in the morning to go to work, and I'm getting home at 1 o'clock or so. Um, that's a long day, and it's when I was fighting for West Virginia, it was 5 days out of 6
Wow.
that way. Um, and in the over the course of time, I've driven through a hurricane, um, just the outer bands, thank God, but several tropical storms in several states, through the snow in a couple of states, extreme heat, gusty winds. It takes a certain level of dedication to be willing to put your life on the line for
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
It definitely sounds like you've made a lot of memories while playing Atlas Earth.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some beautiful, beautiful scenery for sure. Um, just the last trip to Louisiana, I stopped at Vicksburg and got to see a view of the Train Trestle Bridge and the crossing over the Mississippi there. It's
Mhm, mhm.
a beautiful. There was an older gentleman there painting the very scene that I was taking pictures of, and it gave me a happy memory. I had an aunt that was a painter,
Yeah.
but it was an awesome painting, and he captured it perfectly. So yeah, those kind of memories are wonderful. It's uh, worth it. It was worth it.
Okay, so right now you hold a massive network of mayorships and governorships. Tell us about your approach to controlling those, keeping those under control. Do you focus purely on high traffic tourist areas, or do you lock down the local regions to help impenetrable strongholds, so to speak?
Well, my approach pretty much from the beginning was to once I had a huge bunch of money to spend. When I would go in and try to take over an area, I would try to double what the current mayor had,
Hmm, hmm.
and that tended to be effective for it usually caused me to be able to keep it for a couple months at least before I'd have to readdress.
Okay.
Um, I like I said, when I was in Pennsylvania, I spread the net very wide, and because I was traveling so much and placing as I was driving in a lot of cases, I was taking areas all over Virginia. There was a point where I had just about all of 95 covered from just north of Richmond, almost all the way up to Philadelphia.
Okay.
It was close. There were a few spots that I couldn't get, but I had a lot of that area covered. And when you do that, you don't build big strongholds. Again, that net was cast very wide, and that's good for discovering what what sort of mayorships they are.
Okay.
I have a lot of data. I have a lot of data in the Mid Atlantic region, but it becomes problematic defending it. And so, ever since Shaman took the presidency, I was able to refocus. It's not a big rush for me to place.
Hmm.
And so, I was able to use that data to determine what was really worth keeping,
Okay.
and then to start to build those areas up. So I have repaired some of the consequences of my start.
Okay.
Um, but there's it. I had over 200 mayorships at the height of the empire, and I knew that was going to get reduced. Some people react differently when they see that pop up on their screen that says you are no longer the mayor of such and such a location. Somebody else has more parcels than you do.
Yeah.
Um, that that kind of falls on deaf ears with me now. I've lost I've reduced my total mayorship to about 100,
Okay.
and some of them I've lost multiple times and fought for them. Um, there does come a time I do find that I would much rather have 5 mayorships that are small but consistent,
Hmm.
that don't require me to place constantly,
Yeah.
over one decent one that I'm fighting for every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's there's a lot of energy in that fight. And so I really liked some of the ones I have. I still have some in Pennsylvania that they're remote enough that nobody bothered. Um, and so I really appreciate, and I kind of let out a little cheer every time I get such and such a township show up on my
Yeah.
in my list. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. Um, and there are some that you would think I would never let go of.
Hmm.
Philadelphia is the prime example. I fought with the current mayor there over the course of a year or two, and he was adamant that he wanted that, and he put quite a bit of money into it. The problem for me is that I have no good reason to be within 100 miles of Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and so it's a dedicated trip every time I would go, and I'll tell you, it gives 2 badges a day. Most
Yeah.
people would think I would latch onto that and never let it go, and that's exactly what he thinks. And so, when it got to I think I had 4,200 in it when he finally took it back again, and I just decided to make a calculation and say that's too expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too expensive for what it is. I'm gonna take that. I mean, I could place another 1,000 parcels every couple months, but I need that elsewhere, and I'm gonna use it elsewhere. So.
Okay, I think you've given us a really good picture of your play in Atlas Earth so far. Let's talk a little bit about the game itself. The game has matured significantly since both you and I have started playing. We've seen the introduction of competitive mini games and their evolution. It was in the same time period where we started, where we got the Atlas Arcade. Do you actively participate in the mini game events? And you mentioned earlier that you like the arcade. What's your usual monthly play within Atlas Earth look like?
Well, when I started out, I was very bad at the mini games. I did get some advice, and there's a shout out to Mr. Everything and Sammy and maybe a couple others I'm not thinking of that they really helped me to. I mean, they didn't give away all the secrets, so to speak, but encouragement and little tidbits and just hey, just keep playing. You'll get better. And I did get better. I did keep playing. I was never a top 100 player.
Hmm.
I could usually break the top 500, and back when they had the state leaderboard separated, a lot of times I'd get into the top 10. I did podium on the state level a couple times, but it wasn't I wasn't great at it, but it was good income. Um, the changes, removing the state leaderboard and expanding it to 1,500 people that could place and win something. It didn't affect me at the level I was. It stayed about the same. It really did affect the top 100 folks.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of reduction on those payouts. And
Yeah.
the thing that really hit me hard was when they combined Mexico and Canada into the United States.
Hmm.
I found that I have a very difficult time competing at the top 500 level. So if I get in the top 1,500, I'm normally pretty happy. And I guess about over this last 3 to 6 months, uh, things going on in my life have kind of made it so that I'm just satisfied finishing my challenges most of the time.
Hmm.
I haven't been actively playing that much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do surveys to complete the challenges. The surveys are very problematic, but
Hmm.
if you can complete some and get rewarded, it's a nice little bonus.
Yeah.
And like I say, the arcades are pretty good for me. I like those.
And probably one of the biggest questions I get from players is, do people at the top of the leaderboard continue to boost?
Oh, we have to. Um, I think back before the whale wars, I think there was some talk about some of the, like I don't know if snowfish was one of them, but maybe Fragment or Open Boosters or somebody. They were talking about a couple of people that they heard only boosted during SRB.
Mhm.
Now that's at that level you're getting 33% for HSRB. So the effect is really in that one third that you're getting daily,
Mhm.
regular earnings, and you're instead of getting two times, you're getting one time. So
Mhm.
effectively, you're talking about 16% of your income, 15, 16% of your income that you're willing to not boost
Yeah.
in order to get some of your life back during the
Mhm.
month, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody can make that calculation, but for those of us that really need to make the money back, it's not really an option.
Yeah, I mean, even at my level, I still conclude that 2 times is better than 1 times, no matter how much money you have in it,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
okay, so continuing on, we're going to talk. We've talked about the past. Now we're going to kind of talk about the future. There's several big things that they've been working on in the game for quite a while now. Most recently, we had the first test of, well, it was a real auction for a landmark up in Canada, but it was framed as a test. I'm going to ask you this: what are there's also we're talking about expanding into more countries. Obviously, we hope that it expands into more countries on a monthly basis, as well as the new chat type feature that they're going to put to the game. What is your view on the landmarks, and do you think it's going to affect your play or people at the top of the leaderboards play? And then what's your
Mm.
take on the most direct future of Atlas Earth as far as the changes go?
Um, we've been waiting for landmarks for so long.
Hmm.
Um, even longer than I've been playing the game, and
Yeah.
they're finally here. So, I mean, kudos to the team for putting it out there. It seems like the first test went successfully. I wasn't really watching that closely, but
There were several
I am
problems.
watching. Okay, I am watching very closely the fact that on my challenges, I no longer earn diamonds. I earn
Yeah.
bid tokens,
Yeah.
and when I spin my diamond wheel, I no longer. I mean, okay, everybody hated spinning a diamond. There's
Hmm.
there's no two ways to put that. But now it's bid tokens, and I think you did a video about changes in the likelihood of spinning certain
Yep.
things. Did
Yep.
did I read that right?
That's
It
correct.
feels like maybe
They changed the percentage on that 2AB slot, which changed it a lot.
yeah, yeah. And you may be talking about just a couple of Atlas bucks a day that I'm not getting now,
Mm.
but I'm forced to receive bid tokens.
Yeah.
So a lot of people may not look at it that way, but I'm going to look at it that way. I'm
Okay.
I'm forced to receive bid tokens. That could be fine. I'm not a big proponent of auctions.
Okay.
I've never thoroughly enjoyed them. I've done a couple of eBay auctions. I accidentally won a car that was in Florida one time. It wasn't an accident. I just didn't really think I would win.
Yeah.
Um, and so then I had to go get it. But
Hmm.
the thing that really turned me off to auctions is Deal Dash.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just the math on that doesn't make any sense to me, and people still do it. So
Yeah.
uh, the way that the timer gets time added to it every time you do a bid at a
Hmm.
certain point,
Hmm.
after it's been going for a while,
Yep.
um, I don't like that. And that's, no offense to anybody, I just don't like it. And so if I could choose not to participate, I probably would. But you know what? I got bid tokens. So
Hmm.
um, it seems to make sense that I would at some point try to participate. I don't have a strong desire to have a landmark, but if I'm going to participate, I'm going to try to probably choose one that would be near me or have some kind of meaning to me. I don't
Hmm.
know what that'll look like.
Yeah.
Uh, and I actually talked to Annalise on Discord about this because I wanted to make sure I understood. And the initial plan was to do it monthly, and you had to be in the country where it was being offered. That's how it was worked in Canada.
Hmm.
And she did say they'll probably speed it up. But and honestly, if you do the math on that, say there's I don't know how many countries are currently in Atlas Earth, but what if there were 40? if there's 40 countries and you want to spread them out, landmarks across the 40 countries, if you do one a month, it's going to take you what,
Yeah.
over 3.5 years before you come back around to the first country.
Yeah,
You might
they
as well not offer landmarks.
yeah,
You know?
well, they had talked about the testing phases being one country each, but when they go fully live, it's going to be across the world. But I agree with the premise
Okay.
there. So,
Yeah. And I figured they'd have to open it up to everybody. If you offer something, if you offer the Eiffel Tower in Paris, there's going to be worldwide interest in that. The Taj
hmm,
Mahal, there's going to be worldwide interest in that. So
definitely.
you would have some people that were doing some tourism traveling when they found out, just so that they could bid on it and try to get it. I could see that happening. Somebody would do that,
Yeah.
and so opening it up internationally makes sense. And but what that also means is that those auctions are going to be going on,
Yep.
because every time zone is represented. There's never
Hmm.
going to be a time where you can go, oh well, if I just stay up to midnight, maybe I'll snag this because I'm in the Pacific time zone in America.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been asleep for a couple hours. They gave up because they got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe I could snag this one. And no, because uh, the guy in Japan is just, he's been awake for 3 hours and he's bidding now too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be around the clock. It could really pump up the values. Um, I was talking to a coworker who I convinced to play Atlas Earth, and he kind of chimed in and said, maybe they shouldn't let you bid if you don't have the Atlas bucks to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like at some
Well,
point, you have to drop off.
yeah, but I think part of that is they want to sell more Atlas Buck packages. So if you get the FOMO,
Absolutely.
you FOMO
Just
into the auction. I'm going to have that Eiffel Tower come hell or come high water. And then you get done with the auction, you win it, and then you have to shovel in and decide, am I going to buy all those Atlas Bucks packs? And if you decide
yep,
not to, you come to your senses or whatever, then it goes to the next person, right?
yep,
Okay, so
yep.
let's kind of draw this conversation down. We've talked about a lot of things within your Atlas Earth journey. Um, Given how the game has matured and changed, how has that shaped your future plans? Where are you going from here in Atlas Earth?
Um, mostly I'm going to just try to maintain the governorships I have. I completely expect to continue to draw down the mayorships that I have. There's going to be some that I let go. Um, I need to get it to a spot where my income matches what I can defend easily,
Okay.
and it hasn't been that way for a long time. That's why I've allowed 100 mayorships to go, because that process has to continue. And so, I have a real good lead in North Carolina, Virginia, pretty good lead in Maryland. I mean, Shaman's still there, but we actually have an agreement now. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just have to be concerned about anybody else coming up from behind us. and
Mm-hmm.
and so my focus from a governorship level will be on Tennessee probably.
Okay.
Every year I'll have to make a decision about Louisiana. It's a really long trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. I used to live down there.
Nice.
Okay, so it's been more than an hour, almost an hour and a half now, I guess. So I want to thank you
Wow.
for talking to me. This has been such a lot of information between this interview with you and with Shaman 15 and with the King of Queens. We've learned a lot that from your perspective, which we here down at the bottom, so to speak, don't really ever get to see. So I want to thank you for dropping by.
Thank you. And say just a shout out to everybody in your community. Guys, keep pushing forward. The money keeps growing. So let's keep this machine going. We can all keep making money. And honestly, Bronze, they ought to pay you for the service you provide. I'm talking about the company should pay you,
Yeah, I
because
have a
you
lot
are
of people.
supporting their community.
I have a lot of people that say that frequently, but just to be clear, they don't pay me anything other than the rent I'm drawing off the parcels I own. So,
Gotcha.
um, and I feel really that, and I cover other games on my channel as well. I feel that if I were paid by the company, then I would have to give up a certain amount of can I actually say what I feel, when certain changes
Right.
are made, so
Might be a bias involved there, a
yeah,
conflict of interest.
definitely. I mean, if you're
Yep.
working for the company, you're working for the company, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, well, there you have it, the mindset, the math, and the strategy of one of the absolute best to play the game ever. This has been Bronze Dragon and Count Maximus. As always, I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy, and hey, we'll see you in Atlas Earth. Okay, let me
And so
stop you